Hi everyone, welcome. It's Jaff here from Medieval Mirage. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for joining me today. So today is the 9th of December 2022 and I'm finally getting my hack kind of faux decoupage coasters done. I came up with this concept, it could have been last year. I am back on track. So what it is I've created and designed mainly for these shaped coasters. So you can get these coasters, you can get round coasters, and then you can get these kind of oblongy, rectangle-y, I don't know what shape you'd call them. So the ones that I get are from Bunnings, and they're by Boyle. And these ones though I've got online. So but yeah, they're that heavy kind of chipboard. These were what do we call these? I've forgotten that. Oh my goodness, it escapes me. But anyway, and I thought rather than doing decoupage, because that's quite a long process, let's do it really fast and faux, like a faux decoupage. And you know, I came up with the concept of, well, can't I just laminate and then glue it on top? And I did, and I'm really happy with that. Now the edging, I wanted to do something different with the edging, and I started off with this wool, but I decided I'd go with macrame. I used to do macrame as well. Don't ask me how to do it now because I wouldn't be able to tell you. Thought that it would be excellent as a trim because I love that roped effect. The reason why I've chosen this over this is because it's very fiddly to work with to glue these down. So that makes it really challenging. So I wanted something firmer and I didn't want fluff. So one of the things that kept on being a pain is the fluff. And I felt, okay, yes, it is handmade, but now it's just looking a little bit messy. So just for my sake, I thought I'm going to go with the macrame. So we'll be using the macrame. It's cotton. I chose black because I know that I really love seeing a bit of the black when I do the brushing, and I had difficulties brushing this on because of the wool. So this one here was done with the wool, and of course I use the something like Fab-A-Tac, but can you see what I mean here? It's very it's just super fluffy. I don't know if you can see. And I just felt, yeah, no. Okay, so I have tested this out. Where is my one? So I've tested this out and I've had no problems. I've actually put hot stuff on here. It might not be super hot, but I've put my cups of tea, my mugs of tea on here, and it hasn't warped this, and it hasn't lifted the glue, because I use the kind of like a Fab-A-Tac glue, but it's by Boyle's and I love it. It's exactly the same make, cheaper and in bulk. Yeah, so you'll see me using that. So anyway, that's going to go with the kit that I've produced, and that got me a bit distracted, and I started making all sorts of designs from old artwork to the latest artwork that you haven't even seen yet. And I can't wait to make that available, and it will be linked below once this video is released, because I'm almost there. But it'll be in a number of volumes. You know me, my kits are mega and my volumes sometimes go on forever. only because sometimes they're worth pursuing, especially with the incredible amount of things that you'll be able to do with these kits. They are so practical and versatile. But for this time now, we're going to get stuck into using the laminator and getting the process started. Thank you for letting me waffle on as per usual. I'll give you something nice to look at over there. Okie dokie then, let's get started. Laminating pouches. Okay, so I'm using a gloss finish. Now you can use matte, but I thought because we're doing a faux decoupage coaster, right, we want to make sure it's got that feel. It's got that feel. And of course, you don't have to use these for your mugs of tea and coffee. You can use them just for decorations, to put, you know, your cups or glasses on there for your cool drinks or whatever drinks really. But you might want to do a test for yourself. If you're using something different to me that I'm going to show you, then I would be definitely doing a test. Now obviously these are not going to go in the wash either. Now I was going to put some felt on the bottom of these, but I've decided no. It was one of the steps that I felt, no, it's just too much. I know that sounds weird. So I've decided I'm not going to use the felt. Now you might be able to put cork. Cork. Yes, it just came to me. So you might decide to put cork down there, or you might decide to put felt. It's totally up to you. I'm leaving mine bare. And of course, as I said before, you might encourage people to use it for cold drinks, not necessarily hot drinks, because if people leave their stains or whatever behind, it might be a bit challenging to keep them clean. But usually with laminating, that's what we use them for. It should be okay to wipe them off. But anyway, have a test run and see how you go. Make some for yourself first, and if you like it, well, you're in for fun. Okay. So the first thing we want to do before we even get into our laminating pouches is we want to, you don't have to do this. This is optional. What we want to do is we want to ink it up. Well, I want to ink it up. So I've got my vintage photo here, and I'm just going to age it because I felt that it just gave it, I don't know, a bit of a rustic look. But it is really pretty without it. We don't have to. But what I've done is I've done one, I'll do one plain and I'll do one this way. So I'm using this. You can use any sponge you like. But this is the best time to do it. So I just wanted that vintage look. So yeah, I think I told you vintage photo. But you can use any color you like. Today is the 1st of December 2024, and I apologize that it's taken me so long to do another video. The ones that I did back in 2022 were far too long, and I had no idea how to edit them. It was just too much. So I thought, right, I'm going to do it a bit differently, but it's taken me 2 years to even come to this point. My apologies for those who've been waiting. Hey everybody. Okay, so now that the introduction is out of the way, let's get into this. I'm going to show you what I'm using. I'm using a laminator. It's A3, but you can use an A4 if you need to. When you're finishing laminating, just remember it's quite hot, so just give it a moment to cool before you handle it. Okay, so basically all I'm going to be using to make this is the kit, which I've already spoken about. So these are the images, and I'm going to be making a gift. So these are the ones that I've chosen. And these here can be used as belly bands, page cuffs, or as bookmarks as well. So those are those. I'm using a laminating pouch, and with the laminating pouch, it's A4 and it's glossy. And you can get matte pouches, but I'm choosing the gloss. Why? Because we're creating a faux, that's right, a faux decoupage kind of finish. Alright, so I've got these coasters and they're just corks, and these ones here, I'm going to give you the measurements. 89 millimeters square, 89 millimeters square, and they're about 4 millimeters thick, so they're nice and sturdy. I'm going to be using Gold Rush Deco Art Metallic Luster. This is what it looks like, and I was just doing a test run. This is just one of the ones that I did a test run on, and I really love the color on it. And this is another one. Now I wanted to just show you that you don't have to make it edge to edge the same size as the coaster. You don't have to go that far. With this one here, I created it, I cut it out even smaller than the item. And also, this is really for a different type of coaster, which you've already seen most likely in the introduction. So I'm going to possibly use this as a template to cut that out. So you can do that with any of your images that you wish, but if you're interested in the ones that I have, they'll be listed below. Now, in some instances, you might find wherever you live, your coasters might be a bit bigger than this. Well, then don't worry. I was able to just even trim this because I do like seeing a bit of a border. Even though I've got, this is my border, I like to see a bit of a border. Okay, and this one even more so. So you can see there's a border. This is the edge of the actual image. Now, this one I did almost close to the edge, and this one not. So it just depends what you like. Now, just a caveat thing to remember. This hasn't been decoupaged. So I have been putting a hot mug on here, and it hasn't lifted it or harmed it. However, because we're making this with paints and laminate and cork, you won't be able to just throw them in the dishwasher or throw them in the sink to wash. You'd only be able to wipe this surface. So when you're giving these as gifts, you might just say, look, they're mainly for decorative purposes, or to have, say, you know, a glass of wine or a cold glass of something. But if there is spillage around there, it will be hard to clean it off, and it may even get rid of some of the gold. That's what you have to keep in mind. This is handmade. It hasn't been manufactured or decoupaged like normal, so it's more for decorative purposes. Now, I did go a little bit crazy with the glue, so it's left a bit of a glue patch there, but I'm using, but that was a thin piece of photo paper. So this one is 140 GSM, and I've chosen that because I want it to not let the glue seep through. I am using a yarn, like a macrame yarn, and it's quite thick. So this one is, it's 5 millimeters, but it's got a beautiful braid on it, which I love, because I really do love that braid effect when you highlight it. I've got here a corner punch because there's lots of corners and I'm hopeless at rounding corners, so this is really handy. Pencil, I have a little skewer, you'll see why. I'm going to be using some wax paper, baking paper, and a little bit of Glad wrap, and you'll see why in just a moment. And my glue of choice is going to be craft glue. Oops, you're going to need, because we're going to be handling glue and you want to minimize the amount of glue. I've got some wet wipes here, and this glue, I have to put something on top of it because it just starts erupting like a volcano, and it's very, very stringy. So you're going to need to keep your hands as clean as possible because this just goes everywhere, but it's very, very hardy. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is get the laminated stuff happening. The reason why I'm trimming this a little bit, because we want these to be smaller than this. Alright, so here's one of my little tricks. You've probably seen it yourselves or doing it yourselves. So I'm just going to cut around here. Now the secret to this is you only want the laminating done on one side. That's all. You don't want to laminate both sides, otherwise it's going to make it impossible for you to glue. So see this? This is paper, but it's laminated on one side. So I'm going to show you what I do. You're going to get a sheet of paper and you're going to put these on either side. Okay, now you might need to trim a little bit off, but you don't want to trim off too much, just so that they fit nicely. I would definitely recommend a seam allowance. So here we go. So you're going to get your thingamajiggy, your pouch, you're going to open it. You're going to put down your first piece down and make sure you center it. Then you're going to put your piece of paper down next. Make sure nothing moves. And then you're going to put this one on the top. Okay? And make sure it's nicely centered. Then you're going to bring this down. Okay. Make sure there's no little bits and pieces flying around the place. Okay, we are ready to go, everyone. Ready and happy. Just check that there's nothing underneath there trapped. Alright, just let it cool for a little bit. I'm going to do this about 4 times. And the reason I'm doing it 4 times, I really want the images to stick to the laminator. Because we've got 3 layers of papers, the heat may not be getting through evenly and to all those layers. So the more we go through them, and then I'm going to flip it over and we'll do the other side so that we get a nice, even, good adhesion, because sometimes it can pull away if it's not hot enough and if you haven't given it a few times over to be reinforced. So the hottest part will be when it's pulled out. This is okay. This is the hottest part at the moment. So just give it a moment to cool. Okay, I'm going to turn it upside down now. And I'm going to feed it in. And sometimes leaving it to cool might help again with this process. So I'm doing this just to get the best coverage, to get the best adhesiveness. Okay, I'm going to put it in this way because mine is an A3. This is my second final time. I'll flip it over. I just want to make sure that it just sticks. Okay, so the reason why I did that is I'm just finding that the corks, because I pulled them out of their packet, they still kind of have, you know, the factory kind of residue. So I've just been wiping them down with my hands just to get rid of any kind of grit that might fall off. So because it is cork obviously, and that can leave a bit of residue. So this is how much I've collected, and it's going in the bin. Okay, so I'm going to go in for another go, just one more, just to make sure. See, I didn't do the around the edges, so that's my next one. So the flat area is fine. It feels wonderful. It doesn't feel like anything's going to fall off. It's just those edges now. So the reason why I did this was it stops any more of the cork sort of flaking, and also it adds, it's like a clear gesso, so to speak. It allows for the yarn to be attached to it afterwards. So while we're waiting for this to dry, we're going to be dealing with the laminated piece. Okay, so with your laminated piece, you now have two sides that are laminated. See, well, it's really sealed very well. Okay, that's good news. So what you want to do is you want to trim really carefully. Why? Because if these aren't lined up, you could end up cutting into your image. So, I mean, you can do this with a guillotine or a trimmer. So just very carefully. Okay, so you'll get a nice pocket. Okay, and now you should be able to rip it apart. But if you're worried about it harming your images, just keep trimming very carefully all the way around. All right, so not to make a lot of noise, I'm going to just trim. But you can pull it apart, but it could cause a bit of creasing in your laminated finish. Is that we have to remove our paper. Right, so there's some paper here. Okay. So you do want to be gentle when you're cutting, when you're pulling this apart. I think I created a bit of a little bit of a ripple effect. So do be gentle when you're pulling these apart. Beautiful. We're going to be cutting these down. Okay, so as these are drying, you can pick them up just by the center. Have a look at it. Now, some of the glue might have edged over. I did it really quickly. There's some stringiness there. And pick the side that you will want on the surface where it'll rest. However, if you want to, you can make it a double-sided one of these so that it can be flipped over. So that's a lot of fun as well. So you might decide to have both of these, one on one side, one on the other. Now obviously this one here has been designed for a larger coaster, so I think we would have seen it at the beginning of the tutorial, the larger one. If you want to use a circle, you can use a circle on these large ones. We're going to be using these, so I've basically got a spare and I can get an idea of how much I'm going to cut off. I'm just going to use this texture here, a Sharpie. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to decide which is going to be your surface that's going to be sitting on a table or a desk. And the less glue, the better. Okay, this one's the best side. All right, so this one is going to be what I'm going to add my image to. So I'm going to go like this. And this is my guide when I'm cutting out my image. It'll just save confusion and give you more confidence. Lots of glue there. You can be careful with your glue. I'm doing this in a hurry. But if you're worried, what you can do is get some wax paper, cut it as a template, and just put some blue tack attached to it so that when you're gluing there's a bit of protection from this. Okay, so this is the good side, this isn't. Beautiful. Okay, so I've given myself a rough cutting guide. I can keep trimming and trimming and trimming, but I want to have as straight a line as possible. So you want to have a texture that you can rub off, or just make sure you really are close to the cutting line. So I'm going to do a little bit more trimming, just a little bit. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. The reason why I'm not going to glue everything down, I want to match everything up. So if I do decide to have more of an exposure of the coaster, then I can decide last minute. But anyway, now I have basically a template, and I can easily just now start using that as my template. You can cut it out by scissors if you want to. I don't trust myself. I'm pretty hopeless. And this will wipe off anyway. This permanent marker. This is a wet wipe and it will come off. But do a test run. If you're wanting to know whether it will, just do a test run there. So just give it a test run with your texter. So I'll show you. So say you've done that and you've gone and you've made a mistake and you go, uh-oh, this should come off. Just put a bit of elbow grease. It's just a wet wipe. Okay. Now, if for some reason it's not coming off at all, just grab some of your alcohol-based hand sanitizer, put a little bit on, and it will come off beautifully. Okay. So that's with the permanent marker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all of these out and then we'll be back to the next step. So when you finally have decided on the actual size for each of them, so these are basically roughly about the same size, roughly. And if you need to trim them on all straight sides, then you've probably already done the rounded corner. That just keep doing the rounded corner until you get that really nice finish, or you're not able to do it anymore. So this one, it's amazing. You think it's okay, but yeah, just there we go. That's better. Just to get that nice rounded finish. Now, if you haven't got a rounded corner, then just grab the cap of something like this and maybe go around it very carefully, because this is for adult crafters only. Very carefully with one of those cutting knives that are something like that you hold like a pen. They're really a great idea. So you've got something to round it against, and yeah, as long as it's on a cutting mat, very carefully. Okay, done. Right, so I won't cut these now. So we now have these are dry. All right, so what I like to do is I like to get a bit of plastic, and I like to put the gold on my finger, and on the side where we're going to be gluing, so this is my glue, so I know this is all my glue, I'm just going to just rub a bit of gold, and you can use acrylic paint if you want, around my edges to sort of blend everything in. You don't have to use gold, you can use bronze, you can use copper, you can use any of your favorite colors. It does, you know, it doesn't even have to be metallic. I've just always liked this kind of finish for myself. Now you're not going to see any of that around it because we're going to put the yarn. All right, so that's what I'm going to do for the rest. Okay everybody, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to just use this to measure. Now you can decide how you want to seal off your wool, your yarn, your twine, your ribbon. You can use ribbon, whatever thing you would like to use. If you don't want to use anything, well, just get rid of all your little pesky little glue bits, and then you can go over the edge with whatever color you want, because it will give it that beautiful kind of, it gives it that kind, can you see this? It gives it that kind of textured feel to it, that glue. That's what I love to use it. So you don't have to have the twine, but I think it leaves a nice finish. And it's, look, it's a homemade gift. It's something a little bit different from your usual. Okay, so you can get any glue. You can use the Fabri-Tac or you can use this glue. We just want to sort of seal it off. And the way that you want to do it in the way that the braid is going. So all I do is I just get a bit of glue. This is clear glue. This is clear gel tacky glue by Eileen's. Okay, and I love to use it because it's a pen. And yes, it will kind of start fraying as you keep putting glue on it. But you'll see what we will do in just a sec. So now I'm just going to just keep twisting. And as I'm twisting, the glue now is starting to bind the frayed bits together. Okay, so just keep twisting. You may have to get rid of the gunk on your hand. All right, so I'll do one with you guys, and then we'll hopefully get it to our finish. But you want to be able to wrap this around and get an idea of how much you're going to need. And think about where you want. So I've got my arrow this way. I would like sort of where the two edges are going to meet. I'd like them sort of, I don't know, maybe there or there. Okay, so that's where it's going to land. And you do want them to meet, but you might just need a little bit of overhang so you're not cutting yourself short. And then we can trim again if we need to. Okay. So now I'm going to once again just double check. So I want it to sort of be here. Okay, so there's quite a bit of overhang. So I might be able to just trim just a little bit more. Whoops. I've kind of mangled it. I should have got my fabric scissors. Sorry, everybody. Make sure you have fabric scissors. I haven't got fabric scissors next to me, but they work better that way. Okay, so let's try that again. Okay, that's a bit better. All right. If you keep wiping your hands, because the glue will just get, you'll be getting attached to this, and it'll sort of stop it from gluing properly. So just keep cleaning. Okay, so we have those two there. All right, let's measure everything out. So now we've already got a measurement here. And just to make sure we're okay, let's just stop it from fraying. You can just do a quick job at the moment with this. Okay, so I've got my fabric scissors. So I'm not going to give you the measurements of this because it will be different for whatever coaster base you have. Okay, so we know that these are basically the same. So I just need, so what I do, just in case, that's right, just in case, I always like to do one extra. And because I'm going to be doing these ones in the same way as I'm showing you, I may as well get them all done at once. So very practical way of dealing with it. I'm going to do one more for good measure. In other words, if I run into a problem, I don't have to worry about measurements. It's already ready. Okay, now we're going to start gluing on. Now this is nice and dry now. It's not tacky anymore. And yeah, if you're going to be making a few of these, make a template for yourself, like a cardboard template. I don't know. Oh, I've got here. So a cardboard template out of this is another way of sort of doing it, yeah. And then you'll always have it and you don't have to reinvent the wheel each time. I love templates for that matter. All right, so we're just going to do one. And now this is the trick. First of all, I'm going to kind of decide on each one of these to see which one fits the best to my eye and my liking. Okay, so I do love that it's not edge to edge. I like that it's got a bit of a, what do we call it, a bit of a frame around it. Yeah, I like that. That really appeals to me. But everyone's going to be different. So you do you. Just this one. This one's cutting it quite fine here, but I think it'll be okay with that one. And then there's this one. So sometimes they're a little bit wonky, these corks, so move it around until you're happy with the fit. And once you've got it, you just are going to glue it down. So let's do our gluing, because yeah, we're going to be making a bit of a mess. All right, so now we're doing the glue again. Oh, sorry everybody, sorry. We're supposed to be gluing this on first. My apologies. Okay, so let's get this glued. So yeah, I forgot all about it. My brain is just a sieve. So this is what you want to glue down first, and this after. This is interesting. I have to decide which way it's going to sit. Yep, that'll do. So I know now that I want this to end down here. Okay, so that's facing that way. That's why we have the arrows. Okay, so my apologies. Now I'm trying to glue this so that it leans towards me, not to the back. Okay. Because we remember at the back we want to kind of keep it as glue free as possible. I know it's because it's very warm. Normally it doesn't release so much glue. Because it's warm over here, it's just pouring out like water. which is a bit of a nuisance. And you want to try your best to avoid any glue on the back. So I have avoided the glue on the back. But if for some reason you're not happy that this maybe is glue on the back and you can't get it off, just put another image at the back, a laminated image. But you should be able to wipe it off, I think. I'm going to do this without setting it down. And this is where you're going to need to keep wiping your hands with some wet wipes, because it's going to get very sticky. Now I try my hardest to keep this in the center. And there we have it. It's nicely met. Don't worry if the glue gets onto the twine. That's part of the experience. What's really great about this glue is you can pick it off if it's just too much. And then what I do is so all I'm doing is I'm pressing this into here just to get it to adhere. Okay, so this is where you can be using one of your skewers. If you feel like too much glue is there, you can easily pick it off and clean it off, right? If you feel it's just too much. But you don't want to get rid of all of it, because otherwise you've got no glue left. But it will be concealed under the twine. Now, this is where it's a bit tricky, so I go in with my pen, glue pen, and this is where the two edges meet. Sorry, I'm just picking away. Another thing you can do, you can always push the glue while it's still wet into its crease, and that's what I've been able to do. So that's because that's going to get painted, that crease, anyway. Yeah, it will kind of become easier to pick off too. Okay, great. So that's done, and again you can just press it this way onto your board to make sure it's adhered. Alright, so to keep this rolling, we're almost done. Now is when you will glue your piece, and make sure you're in the right way. Try your hardest to get right to the edge. Line it up, and I'm just going to start pressing it down with my wet wipes because I've got a bit of glue onto the laminate and I want to get onto it quickly. I'm just wiping off the laminate where the glue has kind of gotten to. So I keep also pressing in around where the twine has been stationed, as I'm also pressing down on this. And if there's any glue, I'll just either scrape it off with my nail, or I'll just go in with some of the wet wipes. But there we go. Very happy with this. All right. So, my apologies for jumping the gun, but if it happens to you, it doesn't really matter. You just glue like I've shown you. Take your time. You might want to, I don't know, spread it out with something like this, the glue, and put a little bit at a time. I'm just a bit glue crazy. I just never ever learn. I just want everything to stick down, so my glue is always excessive. All right, now the finishing touches is grabbing whatever acrylic paint or metallic finishes, whatever you've got, whatever you like, whether it's metallic or matte, it's totally up to you. And you're just going to brush it on. So and this is where it becomes magical. And you might need to let it dry. I'm doing this while this is wet. But you might need to let it dry. And you can go around the back as well. And do another coat afterwards. Because what will happen is it will soak it up. It will soak up this. And then therefore do another coat. But that's how it's looking. Now, if you don't like to have a bit of that black ridge there, you can get in with this, but I've kind of frayed this edge of my stick, and you can go in and just paint with the stick. Any spots that you can't reach, and just very gently go in. You can do it with a brush, a nice fine brush. And then you just flip it over. You can leave it as plain if you like, but I'm going to add this on the back as well. So there it is, and I love it. That's what I love. I love that kind of rustic elegance. So like I said, you can have something at the back. This one is with the butterflies, and this hasn't even had, I just did this really quickly so that I could show you what it looks like. And yeah. And like I said, you might have to do a couple of coats when you're painting with the yarn, because it'll soak it up and you need to do more. That is how you make your own faux decoupage. And remember, it's definitely faux decoupage coasters. And again, you don't have to have gold. You do use silver. If you want silver, if you want just matte, just remember it's all about the dry brushing, but I just feel it finishes it off. So already I can see that I'm ready to do more. But yeah, there we go, a coaster. All right, everybody, I'm going to do some of this off camera. So I'll be back to show you all of these all finished and to do some concluding comments. One of the things that I did notice is that this paint does soak into this. So I've done a couple of layers until I'm happy, because sometimes it starts to disappear. So it's one of those things that it will eventually stop absorbing as it crusts up. But you might need to leave it about, I don't know, 24 hours for it to stop releasing any of the color, and it's not doing that now. So I find that the first coat, it's probably best to do it a bit lighter, and then I probably did about 3 coats, I think, in the end. But you kind of need to give it a chance to dry in between the coats. So you would have noticed that I had the yarn on first, and that's probably the best way of doing it. But you can do it in any order that you like. So where there's a bit of the glue, I like that because it adds a bit of texture to the back. Looks nice. And it covers a multitude of errors. The dry brushing. I really appreciate your company. Thank you to all my beautiful long-time subscribers and my new ones too. I really appreciate you, and for those of you that are new, welcome. If you enjoy this video, please like, subscribe and share. Please share this link so that others can join us. Thank you so much. Please take care, and I'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.